Well, hello and a very warm welcome to Business Today TV. I am Chetan Bhutani. Maruti has reported another set of stellar numbers, and I'm joined by Senior ED at Maruti Suzuki, Mr. Shashank Srivastava. Thank you, Shashank San, for joining us at Business Today TV. First
Thank you.
question, tell us about the numbers. 1.75 lakh units sold in July. What is your outlook for the numbers going ahead, and what really led to that 7 to 8% growth?
Yeah, so you're right. Actually, for the passenger vehicles domestic, we had a sale of 145,700, which compares very well with the month-on-month numbers with June, which was about 126,000. It's about a 15-16% up month on month. And yeah, on the year-on-year basis, about 7% up. It was about 136,000 last year. Overall, the industry seems to have done really well. 342,000 is the highest ever monthly numbers for the industry ever. And that is compares very favorably with last year's 295,000. So it's like a 16% growth over last year. So good the numbers even and definitely that reflects easing of the problem of production vis-a-vis the semiconductor issue, and we are currently at around 95% of the issue solved in that sense. So wholesale numbers look good, although I must say in the last 4 months the retail have been lower than wholesale. So there is some buildup of the stock within the network, but still very small compared with the normal long-term average of stock that we see in the industry.
Right. Utility vehicles are also seeing a bit of disappointment because it's been a drop of 28%, if I'm not mistaken. And utility vehicles include vehicles like Brezza, Eco, Ertiga, XL6, which also come in like an MPV category for Maruti. So what are the reasons that you're anticipating behind this 28% decline?
So actually, if you see, there is a S cross there, which was there last year, I think about close to 3,000 numbers. So this year, of course, S cross is not there because we will now be introducing the Grand Vitara. So that explains a bigger chunk of loss. And obviously, we have had a issue with the production of the Ertiga and the XL6 as well. So that's one area which we have to work on. We have huge pending bookings though in both XL6 as well as in the Ertiga, as well as the Brezza. The new Brezza we have garnered close to 77,000 bookings, which is like huge when you see the 10,000 cars we are supplying Brezza per month. So obviously there is a need to increase production in that area, and we seem to have not done well in July in that respect. And I think going forward, that is the challenge. You have pending bookings. Maruti has currently 335,000 bookings pending. The challenge is going to be how to produce vehicles exactly as per the underlying demand. And that is what we are currently grappling with for our future production.
Johnson, if I may directly talk about your competitor Tata Motors, they have seen nearly 50% growth in sales, whereas other companies are also seeing huge amount of at least an averaging of about 30% of increase in sales, whereas Maruti is lagging at about 8%. So I think there's a need to. Do you think there's a need to push further and quickly act on this part, because Tata is literally half of what you actually produce every month. If you are producing 1,75,000, they're already at 85,000 per month. So is it because of the backlog of booking that you're facing, or do you really need to buck up for that fact?
Yeah, so I think it is, I don't know where that 85,000 figure comes from, but passenger vehicle for Tata in July was about 48,000 as against Maruti Suzuki of 146,000 or so. So still obviously the gap is there. The market share for Maruti Suzuki around 42-43%. Tata is at 14%. But the point you are saying is right. Overall growth in the industry is 16%, not 50%, but 16%. I just gave you the figure 342,000 against 295,000 of last year. And this growth for Maruti Suzuki at 7% is less than that industry growth of 16%. So that is correct. And one of the basic reasons, when you see the pending bookings of 335,000, so you do wonder why you could not achieve those larger numbers, because you have pending. And that is what I was mentioning. We need to have production which is matching with the underlying demand pattern. So we have a very strong demand, for example, with Ertiga or with the XL6. But as you just saw, the numbers there, we are doing a little less than what we should be doing. So clearly, that is a challenge for Maruti Suzuki. Hopefully, we should overcome them and try to be better than the industry in terms of growth.
Shashank sir, how is the shortage of semiconductors, and is the pressure on profits still there, or inflationary issues are still there for the company?
So semiconductor on the semiconductor, it's getting better. Last year we were at about 40% at the bottom in September last year, 40% of our plant production. But now we are around the 95% mark. Clearly, we're still not at 100%, and I don't expect it at 100% in August or in September. So this problem will continue in this quarter as well. But at a much higher level, we are now at 95%. And that is reflected in the production numbers as well. But going forward, I can't really give you a very clear timeline on when 100% issue will be solved, because we do not have the visibility for semiconductor component availability beyond a few weeks in the future. So as we go along, we keep revising the estimates. On the profitability front, which you had mentioned, yes, commodity prices have been very high. In fact, when you compare it with 2 years back, they are still very high, even though you have seen some softening in the recent weeks. Like steel, which was 37 rupee a kg 2 years back, went up to 84, now around 60, 62, but still, very high compared with 37 per kg that you saw. Same with copper, going up from $5,500 to $10,400, now softened a little bit to about $9,300, but still quite high when you compare with $5,500 2 years back. Same stories there with aluminum as well. So while there is a softening in terms of the commodity prices, but still compared with 2 years back, still quite high. And that is another area where we are making a close watch on the trends in the commodity prices.
Right. That was my last set of question, sir. How's the bookings for Vitara and the Brezza going? Vitara is, of course, a very what should I say, a very keenly awaited car in the market, because for a positioning of mid-size SUV. Where are the bookings as of now?
So Brezza bookings are, we have received about 77,000 bookings already, which is pretty good considering we do normally 10,000 a month. So that's a long waiting that we have built up, but we would try to increase our production to reduce the waiting periods for our
And what about Brezza?
I was talking about the Brezza.
Okay,
for the Grand Vitara, we have crossed the 27,000 number, out of which I think 48% is strong hybrid. And that's also a pretty good sign, because that's one area which is where Maruti Suzuki has been lacking, the mid SUV segment, and that should give us some additional market share in the SUV space.
That's right. One more thing I'd like to ask you about is the fact that the focus on hybrid technology. Maruti is, of course, breaking it big with ensuring that customers get a full value for the fuel that they consume. And with SUVs and mid-size SUVs consuming a lot of fuel, Maruti getting into hybrid definitely excites the market. So tell us about your vision for hybrid, and does it entail that future cars will also be having this particular technology from Suzuki?
Yeah, so it's like this, going forward for meeting emission norms, and the general consensus in the industry seems to be that EVs will ultimately become mainstream. But the consensus in the industry where it breaks down is that when that would happen. The general estimate is that it should be the EV industry should be about 10 to 15% by the time it's 2030. I'm talking of passenger vehicles, because the adoption of EVs in across segments will be different. Probably in two-wheeler and three-wheeler, it will be faster compared to passenger vehicle. And in passenger vehicle, fleet will probably be faster than the individual users. And within individual users, probably the larger vehicles will probably have a faster adoption compared to a smaller vehicle. So having said that, what do we do in this intermediate period? Because if we will be producing almost if in the next 10 years, 70 million cars or so in the industry, out of which probably just about 1.5 million cars would be EVs. Going by that 10-15% EVs ratio. In that sense, we need to do something about the environment, and CNG is one area where we looked at. We have flexi fuel, that's other area. But more importantly, strong hybrids seem to be extremely good substitute in the intermediate stage. And that is what we are looking at the moment. And consumers do not have a range anxiety with hybrids, because no charging infrastructure is required. There is no extra payment to be made for charging because it charges on regenerative energy. Third is that you don't require time for charging because it charges while on the go. And fourthly, it gives you great performance as well, because when you start the vehicle, it starts with the straight away in the EV mode. And finally, it gives great fuel efficiency. In fact, Grand Vitara is close to 28 kilometers to the liter, largely because in the urban cycle, almost between 40 to 60% of the time, it is driven by pure electric power. So all the good things are there in the hybrid. And on top of it, the price point is expected to be much lower, because in an electric vehicle, if you compare with the corresponding gasoline vehicle, the prices would be probably 1.5 to 1.6 times, whereas in strong hybrids, that may not be the case. And therefore, the cost of acquisition wise also, strong hybrids seem to be a very good answer. And that is what we are finding from consumers who are giving us that large traction in bookings for the hybrid that we have seen for the Grand Vitara.
So are you hinting that the price of Grand Vitara will be extremely attractive?
I didn't get the question, Chetan.
Are you hinting, Shashank San, that the prices for Grand Vitara would be extremely attractive?
Yeah, so attractive, definitely. Maruti Suzuki is always known for competitive prices. Of course, in the recent past, you would have seen we have added some huge technology and features in our cars, but great value. So Maruti Suzuki would always be known for great value, and you would find that in Grand Vitara also, pricing will be offering great value to the consumers, as always.
Well, Shashank San, wishing you all the best for revealing the prices, and of course, the market is keenly awaiting for the Grand Vitara. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.